Hi, Virgin. Hi, Angel Gladdy.
Hi.
How are you two doing?
Good.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
So today we're going to talk a bit about newcomer, being a newcomer coming to Canada, and sort of what that experience is like. What would you like to tell us, Virgin? Maybe what that process.
I think it's a really hard process, like just leaving behind all your beloveds, your family, your roots, your culture, and just like go straight to a new place full of hopes and full of dreams, and like you have like a hard shock, right? Like I feel that you hit the wall when you arrive and you see like maybe it was not what like that what it was happening in your mind that. Yeah. It's a real shock, right? Like just being by yourself in a new place.
Okay. What was that like for you, Angel?
Yeah, it's a migration from one place to another itself. It's a very big thing, big decision for our own life. And you are as Virgin said, like we left a lot of things in our home country, and always we are all migrating for good reasons, like get a better life, get the freedom and stuff. But like we were imagining that like going to the heaven and coming to Canada, but unfortunately there is no heaven in the world. It's like still you need to, unless you make your own.
So what were some of the like barriers or challenges that you faced like coming here in terms of not having your family?
Well, as you just mentioned, like many, like language barrier is something huge, right? Like even if I have the privilege to be able to speak a little of English, just coming here and just like getting realized that my English was not as good as I was expecting, and just being by yourself, like being like kind of like limit budget, not having where to live, not having
Financial challenges,
financial job, everything.
housing. How was the experience like accessing housing?
Oh yeah, that is a pretty big challenge for me. Like after I migrated to Canada, and in the beginning, so you are starting everything from the scratch. What are all the things you build up in your country? You're leaving all of that, and you're coming to a new country, and you are starting from the scratch. That was like a big challenging, and one of the our trans friend, she was the one, like I left my family, so I'm searching for a family here, like and one of the trans person was like supporting me in terms of like getting a housing, and she saved my roof. And not all the people are getting this,
Right.
so it's like normally it has to be like a government has to support in this scenario. Yeah, especially when I was like searching for an option to get a housing, it's like there is a housing options only for youth and older people.
Right.
So there is no option for the people who's in between.
Yeah, so that was a challenge for you. What about some of the systemic like barriers or navigating, the forms and all that stuff?
Well, the same as like Angel was mentioning, like so you first of all you arrive here and then like you don't have your basic needs covered, right? Like something as easy like where you can sleep or where can you eat. Without that, it's really hard to concentrate on all the paperwork that you have to do to follow up your immigration. And there is a lack of information for newcomers to access, right? Like to understand where can I find a lawyer, where can I learn English without spending all my saves going to a private school, right? And then but as she mentioned it before, like I was lucky enough as well to have like a trans person of the community that she was the one who showed me and she guided me through the city, and she gave me the information how to have access to education, to a lawyer, to a food bank, right? So once my needs started being covered, I was able to put more energy and put more effort on other things that I have to do in order to have like a good life here, right? Like a human life.
And how does identity play a part in that? when you're navigating, an immigration system and your own identity.
Yeah.
And I would like to add one more thing with what Virgin said. It's like there are lacking of information, especially when it comes to trans and LGBTQ people. They all the there are, even though there are some in places where they are giving information about the immigration process that is not trans friendly and LGBTQ friendly. So it's like trans people need a place where they can go and trust them and make feel comfortable, and they need to get the information from them, right? So that is like a pretty hard to find that kind of places in the city.
So there's some of what the service providers, were
Yeah.
they trans friendly or trans
Right.
knowledgeable?
And then like adding or something else, like the few of them that are capable or they have trained to deal with trans people, there's so few of them, they're saturated, right? Like you have to wait like 30 days, 2 months or something to have an appointment. And like, when you're a newcomer, you are just desperate. You need like, oh my gosh, what is going to happen to me? Am I going to have to go back to my home? Do I have to start over a new country? And then like when they let you know like, oh, it's going to take like 1 month or 2 months, and just you just in this period of time, in this limbo without knowing what's going to happen with you.
So how was that feeling, like being just...
Yes, especially I would like to add one thing, like finding a doctor, that is a big challenge. Like you're finding a family doctor as a newcomer, and also the family doctor has to understand your language, and also the family doctor should be trans positive, and also they should like make you feel comfortable to speak anything what you want in terms of health.
So let's talk a bit about like the cultural impact, because, I also migrated, here to Canada and had the experience. So what does that feel like in terms of accessing food that particularly used to, and then coming here and realizing you may,
That's something crazy. Like the diet is completely different. So
Right.
your body's kind of like, you have like a disbalance. Like it's not as your body was used to. So you get like more, I don't know, like I gain weight, I get more anxiety, so I eat more, and it's just like it was really challenging, to be honest. And also like you feel there's like in the city in general, like there's only few spaces that are really safe spaces for trans people, right? Like in the other, like in the more ordinary places, like trying to find a job or just trying to have a life is really hard to.
So how was that socially for you? Were you able to find...
I was in a big cultural shock after I came.
Right.
Because the place where I came from, like, that is very populated, and, their bubbles are very small. And, here, and also the people who were in back home, they are like so warm. Here people are cold, and their bubble is so big, and you can't you can't be even close and walk with them, and you can't even sometimes hold their hands. It's like, for holding hands, it's like nothing for me. Like it's like it doesn't have a big value. It is like just love and sharing. But here, holding hands, it's like only you, if you are a couple, you need to hold the hands, and like that is a big cultural shock for me.
Absolutely. And in terms of just now in general, like you've been here, for a little bit while, you've probably got adjusted to some things, but how does that feel?
Well, like to be honest, like as I always tell people, I think like when you have covered your basic needs, like having where to live, having where to work, having like a few people that like a family, right? Like a chose family. Just that's the only thing that you need to start like developing yourself. Like right now, I have a good job. I have like a career as an activist in here. I have my own apartment. It's just like very simple. There's something I'm really grateful to that I have been able to develop myself here in Canada. I feel there's way more opportunities to do that.
So like you were saying, there's very few service providers who are trans knowledgeable when coming to talking about, immigration, newcomer, refugee. What would be something you would tell service providers that they might need in order to, to really serve trans newcomers?
I would say that, like, there are so many resources for them which we can't access, but they have access to those resources. They need to search for the resources, and they need to help that trans patients, especially in terms of in when you talk about my doctor. She did a lot of research. She It's okay if you don't know. Like if it's not okay if you're not willing to learn.
And if someone wanted to immigrate to Canada, what would you say as a trans, as a trans person, as a trans woman, what would maybe advice you would give them, that they would know beforehand?
I will tell them right away just to find your like a trans family. Like I think that's the most important. Just being able to access to trans community, that will help you a lot to deal with isolation, deal with the lack of information, right? So just being able to get in touch with trans family, and I'm pretty sure that I will help them a lot. That it works for me a lot. Like,
How did you deal with like the isolation?
but I just started going and meeting like trans people. Like I knew from my country that that was something super important, super powerful for me in order to do my transition. So that's the first thing that that I did here, was trying to find like trans community, and that helped me a lot.
Did you feel intimidated when you had to go somewhere for the first time, like maybe to a social group or,
Yeah, that is like a trans family is like so me, like that is very important for, I believe, every person, every trans person especially. So that is like, we all are sailing in the same boat. So only what you're trying to say, that like only the person who is like going through the same kind of experience, they can easily understand and give encourage. And also you can, whenever you are feeling so lonely and tired and you're like depression or anything, like you will see other trans person who is like overcoming that situation, and you will take take that as a mentorship, and you will just like, okay, why, if she can do it, like why can't I? Then that is like taking your positive energy and sharing the positive energy in between the community. That is very, very important. Yeah, luckily I got some.
And I know now you two are both like really involved in a lot of different projects. You talk a bit about your activism. Yeah, I know you're doing a play and you're doing several, performances and all that. So you both came here with a lot of skills and expertise in many different ways.
Yeah, I
right?
think like it's so important to give back something for the community, right? Like for me, like they just having the opportunity to have all my rights respected somehow is because like another sister before or another person before like fought for them. So like I feel that I need to do the same for new generations, and for even for me right now, right? Like we have to keep like just fighting and just like accessing and just opening more doors and more ways for people to understand that it's okay to be trans.
And the fashion workshops that you do, could you tell us quickly, like, what they
So,
are?
like I love fashion. Like I have I have a degree in fashion marketing, and for me, fashion is a really powerful tool to communicate and to just to get to express an idea through the way you look, right? So like I also feel like the fashion is a good tool to gain more self-confidence and just be able to have fun with it, right? So I feel it's really powerful when you can combine like activism with fashion just to have like a wider impact.
And the play that you're involved in, how is it that, going to create an impact for...
I always believe that like a theater is one of the biggest tool to make an activism as well, because from the ancient world, that before cinema, before all these TV serial, all these before that, theater was the only thing, key tool to make a revolution. So theater is the only thing, it's made a revolution in our ages and ages before. So I believe that like theater is the only tool, one of the tool which is making a revolution. So I wanted to be part of it, and I always call myself as like I'm a theater activist.
So thank you both. Thank you, Virgin, for your inspiration and all the work that you've been doing. And to Angel Gladdy for also being an inspiration and and leaders in the community. So I am so grateful to be sitting and talking to you both, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, Yas.
You're such a role model. Thank you for having this chat with us.
Thank you, Yasmin.
Okay, awesome.